Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is Brett Pastore. He is an American training out of Thailand, fighting in Australia. He's making his way over to take on Quillan Southfield, who's Eternal MMA lightweight champion at Eternal MMA 80, October 28th, HBF Stadium in Perth. Now, I don't normally do this, but I really wanted to get to know Quillan Southfield's opponent because any man that has basically been not handpicked but scouted to take on Quillan Southfield, who is one of the toughest fights outside of the UFC. You want to know what's in the man's sticker. Why is Brett Pastore taking this fight? What does he have? Why is he so confident? And let me tell you, it is one intrinsically motivated man. He quit his day job, his stable day job, to chase his dream. Left America, moved to Thailand to chase his dream full time, and like I said, he's jumping on a plane to fight in Australia to take on one of our best prospects in recent memory. So, look, props to him, but let's find out why he's so confident and if he perhaps should be. If you're American or you're just a fan of Brett, welcome. Check out some of our other interviews. You can actually check out Quillan Southfield. Interview him. You can find out his opponent, and you can do what I'm doing here, but in reverse for you guys. But guys, without further ado, Brett Pastore. Mate, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Now, dude, you are a very, very busy man. I believe the American Nomad. But look, you were an American that's training in Thailand, that's going all the way to Perth, Western Australia for a fight. Are you living the dream you've always wanted to live?
Absolutely. I never imagined this could be possible. It's been a crazy 6 months now. I bought a one-way ticket to Thailand, just started training here full time, and here I am. I'm in the gym right now. This is it's a crazy life.
I heard you were a teacher. I can only imagine. Now, I know American teachers complain about, obviously, the pay, but I'm assuming it's better than an up-and-coming MMA fighter. What is it like to go from essentially a stable job to just kind of gamble it all on yourself?
Yeah, so I was a teacher. It was a stable job, but there, I knew I wasn't going to reach my full potential in MMA. Living a stable, boring life, staying in the same place, going to the same place 12 hours a day, sitting behind a computer and talking to kids who don't listen to you at all, getting cursed out by teenagers all day. I mean, a lot of people have a calling to be a teacher, but I just felt like I've always wanted to be a fighter. I was fighting full time. I was, training 6 a.m.s and training late at night, and I was just barely sleeping. I was sleeping in my car. It was life of a teacher and a professional fighter was rough, and life is so much simpler now. Wake up, train, be here in the gym all day. So I made that decision, bought a one-way ticket. Here's my life now.
Are you a big fan of Rich Franklin?
Yes. Yeah, he's the original teacher turned fighter.
When it comes to being a fighter, because I'm assuming you're a fighter as a teacher, amateur career. Did your professional career leak into your teaching career? Were you pro as well as being a teacher?
So I knew I was going to be a teacher. In college, I was wrestling and boxing. I always knew I was going to be a professional fighter, but I was getting my bachelor's and my master's degree in teaching. So I was, always doing both. And you can only go so far in life if you're doing 2 or 3 different things. You got to focus. If you focus on one thing, really commit to something, you'll get great at it. I was, I knew I was going halfway with 2 things, and I wasn't really going to be a great fighter if I was working literally 10, 12 hours every single day, feeling like garbage in all my training sessions, just because no sleep, just it's a rough job. But yeah, here I am now.
What's the family like? Do you have a supportive family, girlfriends? Like, what's the deal there?
Haven't seen my parents in 6 months since I left. I'll see them again shortly after this fight. That'll be exciting. But no girlfriend, nothing like that. There's no time for anything other than training. You got to commit to this if you're gonna make it to the top. There can't be any of those crazy distractions. Um, yeah, my parents were not super thrilled when I told them I'm becoming a professional face puncher in a cage.
Yep.
But they've been very supportive, very gracious. They've accepted that this is what's happening. And here I am.
Yeah, no, you explained about kids not people not listening, and that's the same as having a girlfriend. So don't do it. But mate, you've kind of not just nomaded in life. You've almost like nomaded in sport. Like you've done basically every combat sport ever. The one that sticks out to me, Sambo. How does an American how does an American fall into Sambo? That's like the dark side of the force.
Yeah. So Sambo's not very big in the United States. There's only a few clubs that do it. But yeah, started in New Jersey. A professor named Vladislav Kulikov. He had a Sambo academy. I used to go once a week. Put on the Kurtka, or the red or the blue gi. And then 1 year they had nationals right in my home city. They had it in Brooklyn. I did it, and then a few years later they're like, "Hey, we have an opening for a spot in Uzbekistan." And I had never left the country before. I'd never been outside the United States. In my 20s, I was like, Uzbekistan. I'm like looking on the map. Where even is that? I'm like, this sounds like the adventure of a lifetime. So I went to Uzbekistan, fought in the World Championship. Had some wins, had some losses, and I'm like, this is amazing. I need to, there's a whole world out here, and there's so many people for me to fight, and so many places for me to go. I need to do more of this. So, yeah, combat sambo. It's basically MMA, with the headgear and with it's a weird scoring system. You have the gi top, but it's basically it's like just like MMA, but tournament style. So, that's a sport I really enjoy.
What came, like, when did Sambo come in, or have you been in MMA the whole time and sort of dabbled in other areas, or did it start with wrestling and then go from there?
I started with wrestling when I was 5 or 6 years old. As a really young kid, I started wrestling. Added boxing in high school, and started competing in boxing in college. But yeah, Sambo got added a lot later. I wouldn't say that was my base. I added that on later after I had some MMA fights. So yeah.
Was it the whole, Russians in MMA that sort of like led you to Sambo, or?
Absolutely. Yeah, see, these Sambo guys dominating my weight class. I see these big throws and how dominant they are in the clinch. And yeah, I'm lucky I had a professor who was right over the bridge in New Jersey. It was a real close drive for me. And I started training with him. Really enjoyed the sport. And now Sambo is a big part of what I do.
It's a real love. It's not just to help your MMA.
Yeah, my one of my dreams is to be the first ever. The United States has never had a Sambo world champion. So I want to be the first to do it out of the U.S.
Do Americans think you're like a Russian spy?
Yes, they do. Because they see me over here. I'm training with Russians over here, doing Sambo.
You're a defector. Like, that's like...
No. I'm totally American, but I'm a nomad though. Last 6 months have been in Thailand.
Have you had like sort of like a quarter life crisis, or have you always been a nomad?
Quarter life crisis. Yeah, because like you said, teaching, super stable job. You go to the same place. You're in a building 10 hours a day, filling out reports, talking to kids, all day, every day. And I was a professional fighter while I was doing that. I was 2-0 when I left, but yeah, it was like I'm turning down fights because I can't train for them and I can't travel because I'm working all day. So had to make the leap.
Going from obviously the perks, so yeah, you get trained full time, but I'm sure the perks are steady paycheck. You know what I mean? You know where your next meal is coming from. I know it's probably not that dire straits, but you've got that there. Are there any regrets on this choice of life?
Nope. These have been the best 6 months of my entire life, by far. Because it's just my dream is to be the best fighter I can be. And every single day, I'm getting so much better, drastically better, and I'm seeing the improvements. And that's also, I live in tropical paradise. I'm in Tiger Muay Thai right now. up
Yeah.
in the MMA area.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, easy to be happy when you're surrounded by a tropical paradise, but also more importantly that I'm training full time. I'm training and having hard sessions multiple times a day, every day.
When you got there, obviously surrounded by killers from all over the world, did you go, man, I've been training really hard my whole life? Or did you go, shit, I got to lift?
No, I definitely was like, I've been training hard my whole life, but not with the guys who are consistently at that level. So like I've always been pushing myself really hard, but it's like I usually don't have six different guys from six different countries dominating me. Like I'm not used to that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, what's probably been the toughest lesson you've had to learn while training at Tiger Muay Thai?
It's gonna sound weird. The toughest lesson, really brought on to me by Muay Thai crew. When I'm hitting mitts with him, he'll slap me sometimes and say, "Why aren't you smiling?" I'm like, "What? Smiling? I'm in the middle of hitting mitts. I'm trying to hit them as hard as I can." He's like, "No, no, smile, happy, hit hard. You smile, you hit hard." And I realized I'm like, "Oh, you're talking about like smiling, being loose and relaxed, going with the flow and enjoying." And you see like the way these Thai guys fight in the stadiums, they're so loose and they're so fluid. And that's what he's saying. He's like, smile, like enjoy the process and just flow and go with it. And don't try to force everything and be super tense. And that was such a hard thing for me to grasp. Like I need to work hard, but I also need to be more relaxed at the same time. Um, so learning to smile and learning to be real relaxed in the fire, that's been the biggest lesson for me.
And do you physically smile now when you spar?
Yes. And during fights, I'm like, someone lands a big punch. Sometimes I'm like, you got me. Someone misses a punch. I'm like, oh, I almost got it. I land something. I'm like, yeah, you didn't like that. So yeah, a lot more learning to flow rather than learning to just muscle through everything. Having a nice relaxed flow and enjoying the process, enjoying the firefight.
Now, what was your experience like at One FC? Obviously, you get to see what the highest level is, and you obviously get to be around it after being the nomad that you are. What was that experience like?
Lumpini Stadium, that's a dream come true. Back in the U.S. in the amateurs, I fought in Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
But yeah, I fought two times in MSD with the headgear, amateur boxing, and then amateur kickboxing. But this was MMA in the ring in Lumpini twice. Both really good opponents. My two fights, and yeah, big steps up for me. Um, yeah, I realized like I definitely have a lot to learn. Um, but it was a big step forward in my career fighting in those stadiums.
And you hear about Eternal MMA. They say you got to fight halfway across the world in terms of where you're from. Did you know much about Eternal and who sort of contacts you? Did you have a manager? Do you like? How does this fight come about?
My coach asked me. My coach found out they were looking for a lightweight. He asked me. I said yes. Yeah, my coach asked me.
That's
Coach Joe Penley, the head MMA coach here.
And I guess if you've nomaded in life, I'm assuming you nomad in your career. So when someone says you've got to fight, you don't even ask really who.
Yeah, not really. I didn't watch a few fights of his, but it doesn't really matter.
What's your perception on the next level? Is it that thing of like, man, if it takes me 20 fights and I pick up like a couple losses on the way, like it is what it is, I'm just gonna keep going? Or do you have kind of like a smaller window? Like if I can't get this done in another couple of years, I'm gonna go be back and be a teacher? Or is there any sort of long-term plan?
Yeah, it's a very scary thought because MMA is a short window just in terms of, health and life. Realistically, I'm praying I have 10 solid years left, hopefully 10 solid years. But you never know. MMA is a dangerous sport. There's a lot of injuries. We're all taking head damage. I can't do it forever, so I really got to make it count. Thought I was going to be undefeated forever, but my last fighting one, I got caught, made some silly blunders, that I've fixed since then. But now I have a loss on my record. That's okay. Time to keep going forward.
It sounds like the stupidest remark ever, but it sounds like it stings quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. I thought, I'd lose some in practice, but in competitions, I just go undefeated. And there's a guy better than me, and that's how it is.
Does it feel, I don't know, better to have the monkey off your back, or does it still keep you up at night?
It doesn't make a difference whether was it 4-0 or 3-1. Doesn't really matter because I'm the same fighter either way. Either way, I learned from the fight. I learned and got better. That's the most important thing. Records don't matter. In my head, it mattered so much. Being undefeated. Really, when you look at it, it doesn't actually matter in terms of my skill set. So, yeah.
And now, let's say October 28th, you pick up the victory. Eternal is one of the better promotions at feeling like a league. Like they always have their champions coming back. You always know sort of where guys sit in rankings. Is this just going to be a grab the title and run, or are you just sort of like, are you looking forward to coming back and fighting on Eternal multiple times?
I can come back and cool. Yeah, sounds awesome. I haven't even thought that far ahead, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, love to come back.
Awesome. And a couple more before I let you go. After it's all said and done, how does Brett Pastore want to be remembered in mixed martial arts?
I want to be remembered as the greatest of all time, but I have quite a long way to go until I reach that. I have a lot of skills I need to develop. So I definitely want to be remembered as someone who got better every single day, got better every single fight, and made significant improvements from one fight to the next to the next. And yeah, I really want to show off these improvements next week. Wow, it's already next week.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It catches up. Now, if one of your past students was watching, what's a lesson you'd hope they take from the life that you've chosen?
Commit to something and work hard. You can't just do something half-heartedly or kind of hope and wait. You got to go for it. You want to make something happen, make it happen. And it's yourself that's got to make it happen. You can't rely on the outside circumstances. You got to go for it. Sometimes you got to take big risks, and you have to work ridiculously hard. You have to work 24/7. If you're not, there can't be any time you're not committing to your craft. If you're not training hard, you're studying, you're constantly developing, constantly getting better. And yeah, you need to always be working hard to accomplish the goal that you want to accomplish.
Awesome, mate. And last thing, you want to try Kangaroo Meat? You can just get that at like Woolies, which is a grocery store that we have here. You do. It's like, it's not that hard. I heard you talking to Luke Trier. Love him. But you could just go down to the grocery store. It's right there.
Awesome. I cannot wait for that. That's a bucket list item.
Oh, I love it. Brett Pastore, mate. Thank you so much. If anyone wants tickets, eternalmma.com, or they can watch a UFC Fight Pass October 28th, or probably like 27th or 29th, wherever you are in the world trying to watch them. But eternalmma.com, mate. Thank you so much for taking the time. The second time since I forgot the first interview. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me. See you next week.